Welcome, everyone. Today is day 2 of Washington's Give Big statewide fundraising event. And in our, kind of normal fashion, this is our 3rd year doing a live streaming event on Give Big to get all of you excited about our programs and activities that we have coming up, to thank all of our incredible donors for their support, and to give everybody an opportunity to donate to Harbor WildWatch again to continue to enjoy our fun and educational programming in 2022. So before we get started into the program, we'll do some quick introductions. My name is Lindsay Stover. I'm the Executive Director of Harbor WildWatch. So thrilled to be here. I am currently live streaming from my home with the trusty octopus behind me. That is not a giant Pacific octopus because they're not blue. So I'm so happy to be here and see all of you. And of course, have with the other 2 parts of the Harbor WildWatch team, Stina Troyer and Rachel Easton. So I'm going to give them each a minute to introduce themselves and tell us where they are today. So Rachel, why don't we start with you?
All right. Well, you may recognize my location if I flip it this way a little bit. I am at the Fox Island Bridge, just underneath it. It's one of my favorite places to explore the intertidal zone. We've got an awesome low tide today, so I'm excited to share with you some of my favorite creatures here in just a moment. But I got to just point out, it's sunny. It's amazing. Our last Give Big, it was pouring down rain, and I was at least out in the field and miserable. So I'm very happy to be here with the sunshine today.
Thank you, Rachel. And I don't remember it pouring because I was in office inside warm, and it was you that were outside. So thank you for being here today. And of course, we have Stina Troyer as well.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm tuning in from the Skansie House. It's the Visitor Center and Interpretive Center. You can see I'm in the touch tank zone with our awesome exhibit full of sea stars and hermit crabs and sculpins and of course seaweed, and also our lovely sandbox over here. So if you haven't been to the Skansie Visitor Interpretive Center yet, we're going to give you a sneak peek a little bit later today. So very excited to celebrate all of your generous support and hang out with this awesome team.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stina and Rachel. So we will hear from them in length in a little bit. But before we do that, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on Give Big and what it's all about. So if you are not familiar with the campaign, it is a Washington statewide fundraising campaign where individuals and organizations across the state come together in a 2-day giving event to really support the nonprofit organizations who are supporting our community. Of course, Harbor WildWatch is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have participated in this event more so in the last couple of years. This has really become an important source of our fundraising, especially during the pandemic, because we needed to make up for some funds that we lost when we had to close down our programs, and we weren't getting things like corporate sponsorships that were coming in. And so we really looked to this event, and it helped us get through some times in the last 2 years. So this year, while we're super excited because we are starting to do in-person programs, we've learned a lot in the last couple of years. And one of the things that we want to continue doing is delivering digital content in addition to our in-person programs. And the reason, there's a couple of reasons that we're doing this. Number one, not everybody can make it out to the beach with us. As you know, our programs, especially the beach ones, are very dependent on the tide. And we can't just tell the tide when we want it to be low. We have to follow that tidal cycle. And so sometimes those low tides, especially in the summer, are in the middle of the day when people are working, or maybe kids can't get to the beach because they've got other activities going on. So by doing online programs, what we found during the pandemic is that it made our programs more accessible for everybody. Another thing is that some people don't live in this area and don't get to experience the Salish Sea firsthand. So we have widely expanded our audience over the past 2 years because of our digital programming. And these 2 amazing ladies that you see, Rachel and Stina, have basically gotten everybody, I think it's near 500,000 followers on TikTok now to absolutely fall in love with the Salish Sea. So our goal for GiveBIG this year is to raise $10,000 to support our digital programs. And some people might be asking, well, why don't you get a grant for that? Well, we do get a lot of grants for our programs. About 50% of our activities are funded through grants from our community, from regional, even from nationwide. There are a lot of things that we do that are very important to our mission that grants just don't cover. And because there's this really big push to get people outside, to get in-person programs again, there aren't a lot of grants available for those digital programs. So that's why we're coming to you, our community, to ask for assistance. You remember I said about 50% of our activities are funded through grants. The other half comes from donations from the community like you. So that's why we're here today. And I did mention this is a 2-day event. So we're on day 2. And so far, we have raised just over halfway to our goal, $5,175. So our goal by midnight tonight is to raise an additional $4,800 to help deliver these programs in 2022. Now, I have to give a huge shout out to our incredible board of directors because they're wonderful. They support us in everything that we do as far as programs, supporting the team and the volunteers, but they also lead by example when it comes to fundraising. So they have started us off with a Kickstarter gift for the campaign of $4,000. So basically at the start of the campaign, we were already almost halfway there. So we're so excited. Now we need the rest of our community to come through and help us get to that threshold of the $10,000 that we're hoping by midnight tonight, which is Wednesday, May 4th. There are a couple of different ways that you can give. I'll repeat this again at the end of the program. Number one is you can go to wagives.org. So WA as in W-A, Washington, gives.org. And you can put in the search bar, Harbor WildWatch, and our profile will pop right up. You can also go to our website and donate that way. There's a big orange donate button at the very top that you can't miss. If you're savvy on your device and you want to donate through Venmo, you can do that as well. Make sure when you're searching Venmo, you go to the business tab and you look for Harbor WildWatch because we're as a business, not an individual. And then lastly, you can always mail us a check. Our office is in downtown Cape Harbor. All of our website and social media have our address on their mailing address, so you can send it that way. We do ask if you're mailing a check because this is kind of a timed event. Let us know. Send us a Facebook message, send us an email that says, hey, I just put a check in the mail for GiveBIG, and that way we can celebrate it as well. So I think that is all of the introduction. So why don't we get to the fun part? And that really is hearing from our incredible educators. So we're going to start with Rachel out at the beach, and she's going to do a little beach walk for us. So take it away, Rachel.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's not going to be much of a walk because the place where I'm standing is quite precarious on these rocks and boulders, but it's the perfect habitat for so many of these intertidal invertebrates. So I'm going to flip my camera around here so that you can see what I'm looking at. And I've got some particularly strange creatures here. These are aggregating anemones, and they're all closed up right now. But if you look closely, you can see their little pink tentacles, and you can imagine that when the tide comes back, those are going to extend outward, and they really do look like flowers, what they are named for, the anemone flower. But these animals are closed up so that they can withstand the tide, but there's this really, really cool phenomenon that they exhibit. These aggregating anemones really should be probably named cloning anemones because that's their main method of reproduction. And I can see one right here that is stretching lengthwise there. That's what we see when this animal begins its process of fission. They will stretch lengthwise and then basically tear themselves into 2 anemones. There's another one right here. Another one right here. And so as they do that, they're spreading. And so these anemones all share the exact same DNA. There was one original anemone here, and it split and split and split and split and split. But anemones don't like to be next to other anemones that are not themselves. And so what we can see, ooh, if I don't fall off the rock here, sorry. What we can see right here is this zone where there are no anemones. There's even a little snail here, taking advantage of this little safe corridor to feed. And this no anemone zone is maintained by these anemones who have special stinging cells that are just for defense of other anemones. It's really hard to tell if this is in focus, but there are little white tentacles just beneath those pink ones that are super, super stingy and that attack. And so if this anemone were to spread into this zone, these anemones would then kill it. And then if these ones spread into this one, these ones will kill it. And so we end up with this kind of truced area where the different colonies can survive. Really super cool. And as I'm staring, I'm noticing there's another hidden animal right here. You can see these plates, the shell plates of a chitin, which is a very, very cool and primitive snail-like animal that has been around since before the time of the dinosaurs, with bodies that are almost exactly the same as they are today. And this is a hairy chitin, one of my favorites. And there's even a little limpet right on top of it. The more you look, the more you will see when it comes to this intertidal habitat. But I'm going to back us down and show us what's happening down in the water. The lower we go, the more we can see some of the more delicate creatures that really don't like to be exposed. So the animals that are up high on the rocks are going to be some of the toughest creatures, and then we get more delicate things as we travel down. So right away, I can notice there's a number of leather sea stars down in here. These are really fascinating animals with very smooth and slimy skin. And depending on how you interpret their smell, they have a bit of an odor when you touch them. They smell like garlic, gunpowder, or bleach. Mostly I smell kind of a garlicky bleach, almost like right in between the two. There's also a number of kelp crabs here. So kelp crabs are often called spider crabs because of their small body and very long limbs, but there are tons of them at this location. Also, as we look, we can start to see these bright orange blobs. These are sea cucumbers. And right here is both color varieties together. They are kind of either a bright fluorescent orange or a darker maroon color. And then if I look kind of tucked up in the cracks, I can see even more individual animals. It's going to be hard to see. There's a red rock crab and a small sea star up in there. There are some keyhole limpets as well. And all of these animals are existing here because of, oh, look at this beautiful anemone with a kelp crab right next to it. So cool to see. But all of this is made possible by the really great cold water currents that flow through this location. This is kind of a narrow point for this part of the Salish Sea. And so we get a lot of current that brings fresh, oxygenated, and nutrient-rich water, which drives the growth of all this algae here. There is so much of it. The kind of the big brown blobs that you see back here are this acid kelp. And oh, here's a good example. This is acid kelp right here. This is the bladed acid kelp. There's also that filamentous acid kelp that looks like hair. And here's a really great example of what happens when acid kelp gets stressed out. It self-destructs. The cells contain sulfuric acid. And so when they're nibbled on by a predator, which happens often when we have lots of kelp crabs around, or when they are stressed out by the sun and the dry conditions during low tide, that acid is released and can actually just bleach the entire thing. This is what it looks like normally. This is a nice, happy, healthy piece of kelp, but I wouldn't want to nibble on it. Probably tastes pretty sour. But it's a really great defense for them. Let me move this way and I can show you some of the other animals that are in this location. The piling provides a really great habitat. They're permanent structures that are going to stay here unchanging, and they allow things like these giant barnacles to land on them and grow. We've got another big colony of anemones here with another, I've stared at this rock like 100 times, but never noticed. Look at that little no anemone zone in the center. And the color change is actually, the lower colony is a little bit light green, the upper colony is a little dark green. So they're separate DNA for those creatures. Concentrated here at the bottom of the piling is so many kelp crabs. They're quite crabby, squabbling and kind of positioning themselves. Oh, there's a fish. A fish I don't recognize. It's gonna be hard to see. It's trying its best to hold still. It's definitely a sculpin, but what kind? I have no idea. Sometimes to identify sculpin, you have to count like their fin rays, which is just about impossible to do in a living specimen. Again, lots more of those orange cucumbers here, but what I really want to show you is this fantastically colored purple ochre sea star. Look at that color. They just look so royal and majestic, and I love it. And if we look closely, we can see their skeleton protruding through their skin, which really is what gives them that spiny skin, the echinoderm phylum. And then we can see the effects of gravity on this animal as it's no longer supported by the tide. You can see these kind of pits here where their flesh is sunken in, and then down at the bottom where it is bulging out. Another animal that is at the mercy of the tide is these soft-bodied anemones here. They basically just hang on and wait for the tide to return. They kind of close up a little bit and look a little sad, but this is totally normal for them. This is about a -1 foot tide, I believe, today. So close to the average of low tides. And we have 2 high tides and low tides every single day, which means that these animals are really used to being underwater and exposed and underwater and exposed. Oh, check it out. The giant barnacle is actually moving. Oh, it's on me. It's gonna close up. There's another one right up here. So we can see their bright red feet peeking out through their orange opening in their shell plates, but they are able to see, or at least hear and feel me and my presence, and so they kind of close up a bit. But as soon as the tide returns and covers them with water, they're going to reach those feet into their passing currents, and we can see how far the tide goes up these pilings by looking for the line where the barnacles stop. So we're going to travel all the way from up there to down here, and it's just an average low tide today. So all these creatures are incredibly well adapted to living their lives here, and we're so excited when we get this opportunity during the low tide to come visit them in their natural habitat and learn and be curious about all of them. They're just fantastic. And I could talk about these creatures for much longer than just a few minutes, but I'm going to turn it back over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Rachel. It's always so fascinating. I know this is one of your favorite locations to go to. And as you were panning over, I was thinking about our night beach walk that you and I did here this winter.
Yes, so
and
fun.
We saw a beautiful sailfin sculpin, which is just this incredible fish that I've only seen twice. I'm sure Rachel's seen it more and seen it too. But it was so much fun. And then all those kelp crabs. I remember the people on our live stream on TikTok were shocked to see. I mean, there were thousands of kelp crabs.
Yeah, it really
Rachel.
is amazing how many there are here.
Yeah, Rachel, could you tell the folks watching a little bit about our summer beach program, what the plan is for that, and maybe how they can learn about when we're going to be doing those?
Yeah, totally. We are resuming our in-person beach walks. It's been way too long and we just couldn't stay away from all you wonderful humans who want to come out and learn and ask questions and explore the intertidal habitats. And so our beach schedule, we've just begun posting those events to our Facebook page, and they'll be up on our website here shortly. And you can RSVP to those and get the reminders sent to you. But basically, we'll gather at the beach. We'll go over a little bit of beach etiquette for how to, how to handle animals we might come across, a little bit of safety guidelines, how to be a good guest at the beach. And then we will set off, and we never know what we're going to find. So no two beach walks are exactly alike. So we encourage you to try a number of them, whatever fits your schedule. And then because we're trying to also include these digital beach walks as well, we will make an effort to go live on our other social media platforms too, so that folks who aren't able to visit in person will be able to continue to learn and have fun with us. So for right now, the events tab on our Facebook page is probably the easiest way to get our beach schedule. And those are organized by location or by date. So you can kind of scroll through, find something that is going to work for you and your friends and family, and then we'll see you at the beach.
Perfect. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you for giving us a little glimpse into the beach today. Always learn something with you. I've never actually seen the color difference between the colonies with the aggregating anemones.
I hadn't noticed it either, so that was a fun treat for me too.
Yes. So with everybody else, we are also always learning and having fun. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna switch it on over to Stina to do some fun with exhibits. So Stina, take it away.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome back to the Skansie house. I feel like on a rainy day, had it been miserable, I would be the lucky one here. But I'm going to flip you around, maybe. And we're going to take a look at the coolest sandbox you will ever see. It looks like I can tell there was children hanging out here earlier because there's some extra additions, which is totally a welcome fun thing. But this is kind of our opportunity to explore watersheds with you and just thinking about that connectedness of our place on land to the water that surrounds us. So the Puget Sound and Greater Salish Sea can kind of be modeled by the water. Woohoo! Yeah, let's put some orcas in that water. I don't know if you heard the news, but there's a baby in the Cape Cod. So thinking lots of happy orca thoughts right now. So learning and having fun is a good thing. But this sandbox is essentially really cool because it has all this fun technology. We are embracing technology in these seasons. There's a short throw projector and an Xbox, I don't know, Rachel could tell you, connect thing. And it essentially lets us see the topography of the sandbox. So as I build up our mountain here, you can see the steep parts, those topographic lines get closer together. I'm going to pick the lines that have the least amount of, or the biggest amount of space between them for my hike to the top. And then what's neat is you can simulate rain by opening and closing your fist, and then watch as that water flows down to places like the Puget Sound. Now, this is our good reminder that anything we do in our land environment will have impacts on our water. And we just got to do a presentation at the Salish Sea Ecosystem Conference this last week. And there was a lot of really interesting presentations about different pollution in the Puget Sound, being that 72% of our pollution problems come from non-point source pollution. So that pollution that's either from our cars, or a big topic of this year's conference was the chemical that comes from tires, which is really detrimental to salmon. And dog poop, chemical fertilizers, things we do in our upland. We like to say whatever hits the ground hits the sound. So when it rains, as it does here in Washington, that water will pick up those chemicals and bring it to our water habitats, which, as we just saw with Rachel, there's a lot of cool creatures that call the Puget Sound home. And that's something I'm absolutely so excited to get back in person with people. We just are about to wrap up some of our volunteer training, which is where we're learning about some of the cool sea creatures that we have in our touch tank here, and hoping that if you're out there being like, oh, I would really like to volunteer for Harbor WildWatch, it's not too late, because we've been recording our virtual training sessions, and so it will be really easy for you to catch up with what you missed about learning about sea star anatomy, or anemones, or worms. We're covering all the phylum that we encounter in the Puget Sound. So lots of learning and having fun with our people, and just so much delight and excitement about the prospects of actually getting together in person on the beach with our people and with visitors like you. So definitely exciting connections to be made here at the Skansie House. So we're open Wednesdays through Saturdays currently from 10 to 4. So if you haven't stopped by to visit our cool creatures, visit the cool sandbox, check out our skull display, microscopes, say hi to our fabulous intern, Seth. There's still time. So yeah, the Skansie Visitor and Interpretive Center is a fun little piece of history in downtown Gig Harbor that we highly recommend you come by and check out. So with that, I'm gonna kind of turn it back over to Lindsay.
Thanks, Tina. Quick question for you. If I were interested in becoming a volunteer, how might I go about doing that?
Well, let me tell you, you would pop on to our website, and there is a fabulous volunteer form. If you fill that out, that will get you linked up with the things, or you can check out our Facebook events. There's still a volunteer. Well, the last training over Zoom is happening next Tuesday. So if you find that event, there's a link to register for that Zoom meeting, and that'll put you on our list as well. So, or you can just email me at stina@harborwildwatch.org, and I will happily make sure you have all the information you need to succeed as a volunteer with us.
Thank you, Stina. And I just add on to that there are so many different volunteer opportunities. So you could be out on the beach with Rachel and Stina. You could be leading your own beach walks if you want to take it an extra step. Or if you would rather, like Stina, be inside and greet people as they come visit us, you can be a docent at the Skansie Visitor and Interpretive Center. We are always looking for happy and excited volunteers to welcome visitors into our facility. Tell them about all the things going on in Gig Harbor, of course, as the visitor center, then also attract them back to look at our exhibits to learn and have fun. So thank you very much, Stina. I appreciate it. One other thing I want to touch on that you did so perfectly was tying our programs really to our mission. And so when Stina was talking about the pollution that happens, and that I think 72%, was that right, Stina?
Yeah.
of the pollution in Puget Sound actually comes from activities that we do at home and work and school. We want to stop that. So the point of our programs is to get people to be better stewards for the environment. And the way that we have found the most successful to do that is to get them excited about the animals and the plants that live in those environments. So we hook them with the animals, and then we get them to, think about the choices that they're making at home or at work that impact those creatures. So that's what we're all about. And of course, our motto is learn, have fun. And we are so excited for the rest of this year. As you all know, the last 2 years have been challenging for everybody. The majority of our programs have been virtual, and we're so thrilled with how many people have watched and tuned into our programs. We did keep one program going in person, and that was Stina leading the community science team, because it's just something that just can't be done virtually. You have to get out in the field and do that. But now we're starting to bring back our other in-person programs. So we'll have, actually right now, we're doing our Explorer series, which is field trips, field courses for K through 12 students. So classes in Pierce County, they will come and meet us at the beach, the estuary, the wetland, the forest, and Rachel Stina will lead them on an exploration of that habitat and learning all about the plants and animals, and then ways that they can protect them, tying it back to our mission there. So that's what we're currently doing. We're also currently doing classroom workshops, started that back up, or we're always doing those virtually, but doing those again. And then in a month, I think it is, we're going to be doing our in-person Get Your Feet Wet beach walk. So as Rachel touched on, it's exactly like it sounds. It's why we call it that program, because you're going And you're going to get your feet wet because you're going to go at low tide and check out all these cool creatures. And as Rachel mentioned, each beach is different. Each day is different. So I enjoy going to, the Penrose Point State Park at different points in the summer because the beach looks different. The animals that you see might be a little bit different. So definitely, if you've been to one beach before, don't knock it out. Go back and you will learn something fun. Let's see. So I want to give another update of where we're at. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, we are just over $5,000, $5,175. And a big shout out to our board members for getting us a lot of that way. So I just want to thank them. Howard Seagals, Mary Buell, Tom Larson, Anthony Pennington. We've got Sarah McDaniel, Tim Lopez, and Peter Bortel and Jennifer Beard. Thank you all so much for your financial contributions, for keeping this program off. And then we have some other people that have donated. A few of them are anonymous, so I'm only going to read the ones that were not anonymous, of course. So a huge shout out to Samantha Kelly, the whole Kelly family. Thank you so much for your donation. Sandra Brumbaugh, she's actually going to be displaying her art at the Skansie House later this month, so really excited to see that. Barbara Ann Smokel, Mary Manning, Margaret Harris, Seago Jackson, Sean Cook, Kathleen Tack, William Salge. We are so grateful for your contributions. So we, as again, just throwing out there, it's midnight tonight is the cutoff for Give Big Washington, and we are trying to get to that $10,000 mark to help support our digital programs in 2022. So that means that we have between now and midnight to raise nearly $5,000, $4,800. So if we broke that down, that's just under $50 for 100 people. So we know that 100 people watching this program either now or later tonight, you enjoy our programs, you want us to keep doing digital programs, go click that button and donate $100 to Harbor WildWatch. Now, if you are not able to give $100, I completely understand. $5 is a huge impact. Every single dollar that you donate through Give Big Washington is going to go directly to our programs and directly to support our mission of inspiring stewardship for the Puget Sound. So again, let me just remind you of the ways that you can give. You can go to wagive.org, search Harbor WildWatch, and our profile will pop up. You can see where we're at in our campaign. You can see more information about this. There's some photos on there, a lot to explore on that page. You can also simply go to our website, harborwildwatch.org, click that orange donate button, and then you can choose any amount that you'd like to donate. You can also send us a check to the Skansie House. Our address is 3207 Harborview Drive in Gig Harbor. And lastly, you can send us a donation via Venmo. I know that that's super convenient and easy for people. When you're searching for our name, just remember to switch over to that business tab so that you can actually find us. We're not in the individual users area. We're where the businesses are at. So with that, I want to thank everybody for being here with us today, for supporting us now and over the past 2 years, and for many of you well before that. We got through these tough years because of your support, not only financially, but just making sure we keep going, checking in on us, liking and sharing and commenting and following us on all of our different platforms. We get energy, especially when things were difficult at times. We get energy from all of you. And so thank you. Thank you for keeping us going, making sure that we can continue to educate people about this incredible environment and inspire them to want to protect it as well. I want to throw it back to Rachel and Stina. If you two have any last words you want to share with everyone watching today.
Sure. I just want to leave you with this. We'll take all your dollars except for sand dollars. I always say, like, we have such a robust sand dollar population here that if they were all worth $1, we wouldn't have to fundraise. But if they were all worth $1, they'd probably be extinct. So we do. So thank you to everyone who has donated so far, and to those of you that will donate in the next few hours. We really do appreciate you and everything that you do. And I just want to leave you with this. Oh, now I lost it. Oh, this. You are all real stars of the Salish Sea for supporting us.
Well, Rachel stole my pun glory, so I just wanted to say thanks for all your support, and just I am so excited to get out on the beach with friends and strangers who will become new friends. I just love how warm and welcoming the Harbor WildWatch crew is, and so if you're looking for, you know, a fun adventure, I think get in touch with us, and we're delighted to show you the ropes of the intertidal zone and beyond, and just, you know, get connected with our people again. So really looking forward to that. Really thankful for everyone's support, and of course all those likes, shares, comments also are a way to support Harbor WildWatch if you're not able to give a financial gift for our crew. So thanks so much.
Well said, both of you. I don't have anything to add because you said it so well. So thank you all, and make sure to check back for more updates on our progress between now and midnight. Thanks, everyone.
Woohoo. Learn, have fun.